What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing an Omnibuddy overview of Harold Schechter's and Eric Powell's Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done? Alright, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking like this. We're going to lay this book down, open it up, and take a real close look at it. Probably not really close because there is a lot of not YouTube-friendly material in this book. So I don't want to show off too much of it, but overall this book is a really quick read. It took me about 2 nights, and it's pretty cheap, $29.99, unless you buy it from a store that offers discounts. Then it's even cheaper. But I got this book for I think about 15 bucks. Actually, I think it was about 11 bucks on an Amazon deal, so I couldn't pass it up. And I had to crack this open for my first book of the spooky season going into October and Halloween and see what this book is all about, because I had heard nothing but crazy things. And just a quick thing about this is this takes place in pretty much central Wisconsin, which is where I grew up until I was about 14 years old. So I can very easily pronounce every city and county in this. Portage County, where I grew up, is heavily mentioned in this book. So it was weird hearing about my hometown where I grew up, and weird hearing about a guy that my dad knew when my dad was a kid growing up, because my grandpa owned a meat packing plant, and they would sell obviously butchered meat and all that kind of stuff, but they would also sell ice for refrigeration boxes. And little old Eddie Gein apparently would come into their shop and buy refrigeration ice. And I don't know, to me that's super creepy, because what is this guy known for? They kind of go into this, is this true, is it not, rumors of him being a cannibal, and you know what they found with body parts and were they refrigerated or not. Anyways, pretty disgusting stuff, pretty crazy, but it grossly touches close to home for me and my dad, and I'm going to be handing this book off to my dad actually probably this weekend so that he can read it. It's going to be his first comic book ever that he's read, because he really wants to read this story. And what's crazy is the vast majority of what's in this book is true. Most of the factual stuff is true. Some of the characters are compilations of other characters, you know, like they follow a couple journalists, but they compile those 2 journalists from, you know, a whole bunch of different journalists just to kind of be a better representation of the narrative. They go into a lot of that in the back of the book. But for the most part, this book is basically pretty factual. So that's just crazy. So let's lay it down. Let's take a look. All right, so here we have Harold Schechter's and Eric Powell's Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done? It's got that great matte finish. It's green, so my favorite color, so I'm automatically attracted to it. Here's the spine. Looks really good. This is by Albatross. Albatross Funny Books as the publisher. Here is the back with just talking a little bit about the story, and it retails for $29.99. So if we take off the dust jacket, it's basically the exact same thing that we have going on the cover. So everything's the same. We will open it up. It's got these great kind of old school wallpaper books. Old school wallpaper end sheets. It kind of looks like something I'd see at my grandma's house in Wisconsin, to be honest. So it's fitting. It's definitely fitting. Here's some about the creators, the table of contents. Let's keep it going. Some thanks, and then each chapter head, I think it's 6 or 7 chapters is what this is. It has these newspaper briefs kind of on the front, which tells you obviously the chapter and the title of it and a little bit about what's going to be going on. So this book is absolutely haunting. It is disturbing really on so many levels. It's hard to even comprehend really. Like after you put it down, or you get through a chapter, you just kind of got to stop and just kind of collect yourself and your thoughts, and what actually just happened and what you just witnessed, because it's it's actually very factual and very true to what happened, or at least they think happened, through all the investigations and testimony and all of that. So this starts off with Hitchcock, because if you don't know about American horror, Eddie Gein was actually the first-ish American mass murderer, psycho, whatever you want to call him. And Alfred Hitchcock, the filmmaker, based a lot of his movies on things that happened with him. And this is obviously kind of starting off with Hitchcock's Psycho, and how it was based on that. So if you know what happened in Psycho, you can kind of draw you can very much draw parallels to this story and what happened in this story. As you can see, the art in here is just beautiful. It's all black and white, very monotone grayscale, but they do a lot with it. And they got these big splash pages in there and tons of I'm going page by page right now, but I'll skip through a lot. And so they talk about his family growing up as a child, and even before he was born, really, and his religious zealot of a mother, and his lazy, supposedly alcoholic and abusive father. Talking about how they, all that going through there, them moving and just dealing with the world around them when they disagree with it, and how she brings up her kids, both of her sons, and what that does to them with what they're doing. What that can do to a boy. Obviously he has some other mental health issues, but it goes into it jumps around in time quite a bit, but it definitely goes into depth on the murders and what he did to and with the bodies and all that. And it is at times very graphic. So it is, I wouldn't say it's PG, obviously. It's not PG-13 either. It is, I'd say, a hard R. It'd be very difficult to put a lot of this into a movie, obviously. So it goes through him being caught and all that. So if you are not into seeing stuff like this, then this book is not for you. It is not for you. Obviously the art and storytelling, the narrative are beautifully told and illustrated, obviously gruesome at times and grotesque, and like I keep coming back to the word haunting in this book, and it is absolutely haunting. What's really nice is at the end of the book they have notes, just the facts, where they talk about their research and specific things that happen in the book by the page number, which is really cool for a kind of a biographic story being told. His actual fingerprints, and then they do some interviews and things like that going on through here. So it is it's thorough. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what's with the multiple end sheet style, but yeah, that's it. That's a quick overview. I tried not to flip through it. I know I flipped through page by page on a lot of parts, but I tried to skip a lot of the stuff that happens at the end, give you some idea of the look and nature, the grotesque nature of what they're dealing with in this book. But it is probably one of the hardest reads I've had to do. Emotionally, I think, like Monster, Barry Windsor Smith, I think emotionally, Barry Windsor Smith's Monster resonated with me a little bit more, but this stuck with me because, at least for the past couple days, it's kind of what I've been thinking about, which I don't know if I enjoy thinking about it. I don't think I do. But if you want to read a horror story, this is the story to read. So that's a quick look at Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done? All right, so that's a quick look at Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done? Like I said, this book was gorgeously illustrated, wonderfully told. It's absolutely haunting. I can't say I enjoyed it because it's just so, it's beyond disturbing. So I didn't really enjoy it, but for the artistry and for the storytelling narrative, it was wonderful. It was amazing. And if you are looking for a book that is going to sit at the top of your list for the month of October, if you're wanting to read some spooky, scary stories, I would say that this is a very quick read. I read it in 2 nights, which is very quick for me. You saw everything about it in there, so you can kind of judge for yourself how long it would take for you. But it probably took me maybe 4 hours, 3-4 hours really to pile through. So I think that this should be at the top of everyone's list, especially since it's new. It's not something everyone's read before last Halloween or anything like that. This is a new book that you can dig into. If you know some about the story like I did, it's still got a lot more detail beyond what I ever knew. So yeah, great story, great book. Like I said, it's haunting, it's disturbing, it's way, it's just unimaginable, this kind of stuff. I would not want to be the creator who had to research all this, or those journalists, or the officers who had to investigate this. It would just, so just beyond anything. So I would seriously recommend picking this up if you're looking for something to read in the month of October to celebrate the spooky month. But that's really it. It's a pretty cheap book. That $29.99 mark is really cheap. So jump on it. It's great. It was a Kickstarter. Now the hardcover edition is available everywhere. So get on it. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, do all those things. But of course, comment. What are you reading for the month of October? What's the spookiest book you've ever read? What's something you're looking forward to reading during October? And then end of October, we'll switch it up and we'll get into more of the Thanksgiving, Christmas festive books. So that'll be some whiplash. All right, take care, stay safe.